Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about getting started and how getting started is generally the hardest part of anything that is you're setting out to do, right? Doing the thing itself usually isn't the hardest bit, it's the bit that you think is going to be the hardest bit, but really getting started and getting into the element of doing the thing is actually harder than doing that thing itself, no matter what that thing is in most cases. Right. So right now, this is the first of 4 or 5 videos that I'm setting out to film today, and this is the first one. And usually what happens when I come out to film these things is I walk around a little bit and I'm a bit sort of in my head about getting started, right? But once I actually get into the flow of doing one video after the next, I can sort of very comfortably put out a few videos in like a couple hours, right? But it's the getting started bit that's the hardest bit for me, right? And for some reason, I always find myself a little bit out of breath. Even though I haven't done anything particularly strenuous, right? I've only walked here, right? Sat down, set the camera up. I don't know why I'm out of breath. It's almost like a little bit of a worry, you know? I worry that I'm not gonna make a good video. I worry that, like sometimes, for instance, I start doing these videos and I end up having to do sort of 4 or 5 or 6 takes. And each time I have to do another take, I realize that I'm getting worse and worse and I'm not going to be able to do it. And that sort of leads to me feeling a bit crestfallen, right? Because for some reason I haven't been able to do what I set out to do, right? Because I wasn't able to get started, right? If I was just doing the thing generally isn't the hardest bit. It's the getting started that I find to be the most difficult. And it's the same with just about anything that I do, right? Whenever I go to do a film shoot, the first day is always really difficult. The first shot of the day is really difficult. Meeting a new person, like through networking and stuff, that first interaction is really difficult. Your first day at a new job is always really sort of stressful. Like I've started loads of jobs in my time, and the first day I'm always really worried. I'm worried about setting a first impression. I'm worried about figuring out how to do everything properly. Like my current job, I work in a pub, and the first day, I remember I fucked up pouring a Guinness, right? I know how to pour a Guinness, right? You pour it until about 3/4 of the way full, and then you leave it for a bit to settle until all the lighter stuff has become darker stuff, and then you push the pump in the other direction, and you finish the pint, and then you put it in front of the person, right? And somehow I managed to fuck that up. I think I didn't leave it long enough because I was so in my head about getting it right that I ended up getting it wrong, right? And the person that I was working with, who was a bit like above me, sort of put me to one side and was like, this is how you pour a pint. I was like, don't worry, I do know how to pour a pint. I'm really sorry that I fucked that one up. It's just because I'm nervous because I'm in a new situation, and I just got myself worried, you know? And she was like, oh, don't worry about it, right? And the thing what she's saying there, don't worry about it is key, right? If I wasn't worrying about it, like she obviously meant it as a pleasantry. Like, yeah, I understand you're a bit stressed, but it's okay, you'll get it right next time. That's what she's saying. And when she says that, whether she means it or not, she's absolutely correct, right? Because the reason that I fucked up pouring that Guinness is because I was stressed, and I was stressed because I was nervous, and I was nervous because I was in a new environment trying to set a good first impression, and it all got a little bit on top of me, right? And it's very easy for that to happen. It will happen to you as well in whatever it is that you're doing, right? And it's inevitable that that's what's going to happen, right? But I think the key is just to get through and get into the situation. Throw yourself into the deep end, right? That's been my philosophy for a while. Throw yourself into the deep end, right? Set yourself some mad challenge, right? Try and set out to do a lot and set that as your target. And even if you don't meet that target, you're working a lot harder because you're trying to meet this crazy target, right? And you'll end up getting a lot more done than if you'd set yourself a more reasonable target, right? Like right now, I've set myself out to do 5 videos out here I've got about an hour and a half, and then I have a driving lesson. So I've set myself quite a hard challenge here, right? And I might not get all 5 videos done, but I might get 3 or 4 videos done, whereas I might have only otherwise gotten 1 or 2, right? And that's kind of been my philosophy of things for a long time. It's the getting started that's always the hardest part. Doing the thing generally isn't that bad, you know? Any new situation I find myself in, I find say if I'm meeting someone, like a new person in a new place, right? I find that going to the place, getting the train or driving there or whatever, I find that to be the scariest part, right? Where I'm in my head about everything, right? And then when I actually get into the situation and we start doing whatever the thing is that we met up to do, suddenly all of that worry has gone away because now I'm in the zone of doing the thing. And it's about getting yourself into the zone, right? And if you can get yourself into the zone, you can do a lot more than you could possibly imagine. It's very, very possible to get a lot done, right? And the thing that I think I'm trying to get across here is whatever it is that you're setting yourself out to do, right? This is a kind of a creative minded channel. So let's say you're trying to make a film or make a song, right? Let's go for song for now, right? And you've had the idea in your head for a while, this da 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 thing, right? And then you're getting yourself ready to actually record that da 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 da, and you're sat there with the electric guitar and you're twiddling with the knobs trying to get the right sound that you want, and all of this, that, and the other. And then you're taking an awful long time to hit record for the first time, right? And you do your first take and it's not particularly good. And you're kind of like, oh no. And then you do another take and it's a little bit better. And you do another take and okay, I've figured out something here. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da. Okay, I'm gonna use that, right? And you do another take more dedicated to sorting out that da-da bit. So now you do the next take and you go da 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 down, da down, da 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 down, da down, da 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 down, da 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 wow wow bum 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 banana wow wow da 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 dun da down da 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 dun da da. Right? Do you see what just came out of that? Right? I know it's just me fucking scatting, right? But it's a representation of what happens. When you get into the zone, you come up with fantastic and creative ideas, right? I would never have come up with half of that stuff if I had just sat down and tried to plan it all out, right? But because I threw myself into the deep end and I started, I was able to come up with that second half. And that second half is now interesting and I can go back and I can redo the whole thing with that in mind. And you can just keep doing that and doing that and doing that until the thing is complete, and then bam, the thing's complete. And you're like, oh, wow. I've completed the thing. Fantastic. Great. That was easier than I thought. But the reason you say it's easier than you thought is because you thought it was going to be difficult. And the reason you thought it was going to be difficult is because you're in your head about getting started with it, right? Because getting started is the hardest part of the process. And if you can just get that part of the process out of the way as fast as possible, then you will be able to make great things, right? Like this video, for instance, right? The idea for this video was to get the first video done so that I can get into a flow state to do the next set of videos, right? And normally the first video of what I do here takes me an awful long time to get set up, I want to try and get the perfect shot. I want to try and find the right thing. I spent ages fiddling around with the lav mic. I spent ages doing this, that, and the other. I end up testing the lav mic more times than I really normally do. All of that kind of stuff. And I'm getting in my head about it. And then when I finally start the first video, usually I muck up the first couple times and then I sort of finally get it done. And usually the first video that I do whenever I go out and film 4 or 5 videos is usually not the best one. Usually the best one is like the 3rd or the 4th one. But it's just about getting that first one out of the way so that you can go on to do the next thing and the next thing, because then you're in the flow state, right? It's getting into the flow state that's the hardest part. Maintaining the flow state is also its own topic, which I've done other videos about. And I'm not saying that that's just piss easy. You get into the thing and then suddenly you can just run on autopilot. That's not the case. But getting into the state is probably the most manual part. It's like getting your car started in manual mode, in a manual car, you're getting the biting point. Say if you're doing it say if you haven't driven for a while and you're spending ages getting the biting point right and doing this, and it's like, oh fuck, I forgot you normally put the clutch down to change the gear. I haven't driven in like a year, shit. And then you set off and you stall the first time, right? Whereas if you just got in and just went, oh shit, I'm driving. Maybe that's not the best example because driving can put other people's lives at risk, but take that for something that's a little less impactful. Say making a song. When I like to make a song, I generally like to make 2 songs. One that I don't really care about, which is the first one that gets me into the groove, and then the second song, which is the one that I actually wanted to do in the first place, which I'm now in more of a creative and capable mindset of actually doing and getting completed because I did that first song, right? And sometimes I'll go back to that first song and I'll realize it's actually a lot better than I thought. You know, I was so in my head about it all, but because I was just able to just whip it out and just do it, right? And clear my mind of all of those kind of chaotic thoughts, I was able to get it done, and it's actually come out a lot better than I thought. And now I've got 2 songs for the price of 1. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea behind this video. So I don't really have an awful lot left to really talk about. If you're procrastinating on getting something started, don't even bother watching the conclusion of this video, because I'm only going to say thank you very much for watching, blah, blah, leave your comments. Just turn it off now and just start. Just start now, right? Just get into it, right? Start doing it for half an hour, right? And maybe after half an hour, right? Say if you're editing or doing something, we can have this on in the background. Then chuck one of my videos on in the background, right? And just have this voice going while you do the rest of the thing now that you're in the flow state, right? That's pretty much it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments below. What do you think about this idea of getting started and just forcing your way through the getting started phase in order to get into the meat and potatoes of whatever it is you're doing, in order to be more capable of doing whatever it is that you're intending to do? Leave your thoughts below. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. Take care, and bye-bye.